Welcome to Reset to Healthier Relationships, Sunday night at 9. I am your host, Coach Galinda, the Rise Again Woman. This is your time, your space, your healing, your time for healing. Your Rise Again Woman. Tonight, we are having a conversation for many women that feel that their spirit is longing for something more and that they are crying out loud. Tonight's topic is if you're not the one, let me go. If anybody have ever experienced those dead end relationships and you just want it to yourself, if I'm not the one, let me go. Tonight is for you. Stop keeping me in a relationship you are no longer choosing. Maybe he has not officially left. Maybe he still comes home. Maybe he still calls. Maybe the two of you still share bills, the bed, the children, history, and or a last name. But something has changed. You feel him holding on to comfort of the relationship while pulling away from the responsibility of choosing you. Tonight is not about making a rush decision. It's about ending the confusion. It's about telling the truth. It's about learning when patience is love and when patience has quietly be- become self abandonment. Now, last week, this was our main topic last week, and tonight we're doing a part two. We're so excited for you guys to be here tonight because, as always, we know that Sunday night at 9 is a huge sacrifice for everyone. And tonight, again, this topic is such a hard hitter for most women, I will say, because we wonder how long does it take for you to, know what you want. You don't know if you're going in or out of these relationships anymore. It's because you're getting mixed signals from your partner. So if I'm not the one, let me go. So you can move on to something better. I can move on to something better, and we all can be happy. Now, we did start off last week with two of our illustrations. And before I dive in where we left off, I'm going to allow Coach Carpenter to chime in, to share any words, maybe bring us up to date or maybe just do a recap from last week.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Coach Carpenter, and I'm glad to have you here this Sunday. This is a great topic night. Matter of fact, this is part two of that topic. If I'm not the one, let me go. Part two is where we're at night. Last week, I got to tell you, I learned two interesting things. The first interesting thing I learned, flowers die. I know you're saying, what? Everybody knows flowers die, but not when you're in a romance and someone give you flowers. You don't realize that they die. So a lot of people say, well, hey, look, don't give me flowers because they die. Give me something life. Give me something that's gonna live. And I took me a while to understand it because when I heard it last week, I didn't quite grasp it. But as I went through this week, I did. The second thing I found out that Coach Glenda has a standard. She says this is what everybody should have. I want a relationship where we both communicate honestly, participate in repair, because sometimes relationships do go up and down. So you both got to participate in repair. They make decisions together, and I will not continue to identify or be a part of confusion, avoidance, or one-sided relationship. A relationship should be harmony. And if your relationship is not harmony and you're not working out on your problems together, it's not really a relationship. This week is awesome because this week we get to do part two. Last week, so many people got involved with the topic that lets me know that this is something that we really hit at the right time and at the right place, Sunday night at 9. So get ready tonight, buckle in, and get ready for another great night. Coach, turn back over to you.
Okay, all right. So we're going to pick off where we left off. So we are going to start with one of our participation questions. Actually, before I do that, let me take that back. Last week we talked about our first illustration, which was the married woman. Denise has been married for 18 years. Her husband says she does not want that he does not want a divorce, but he refuses counseling, avoids affection, stays away from the house, and will not discuss a shared future. Denise keeps thinking, at least he hasn't left. Hmm. Her reset is to stop treating his physical address as proof of his emotional commitment. She needs a direct conversation about willingness, actions, and a timeline for repair. So we did have a few comments last week about our illustration one about the married woman. Now, does anybody have any comments that they want to share tonight that they may not have been able to get in last week about that first example?
I want to start off because Denise is really she's I'm not gonna say she's fooling herself. What she's holding on to the possibility of the future of a relationship. What she have currently is not a relationship. She's holding on with the idea that the future is going to be better, but she has to go through the presence every day. Every time she look at her husband, every time he don't come home, every time she's alone, every time she's frustrated, she's going through the presence of the relationship, hoping that something in the future is going to change. And the time this thing says 18 years and haven't changed yet, I think she need to change some things. She can't wait on her husband any longer because he's proved that he's not going to make any changes. So she has to make some changes. And the first change should be take care of herself. Okay?
Absolutely. Did anybody else want to come off mute and share any comments from that illustration we just went over? If you don't have anything, that's fine. It's just that, sometimes after our open live discussions, ideas and comments pop in our head after the actual video. And it's like, oh man, I wish I should have said that. So I just wanted to backtrack a little bit from last week to refresh our memory before we move on to any new content for tonight. Okay, not a problem. So last week we had our illustration number 2, the on and off relationship. Monica partner disappears after conflict and returns when he is lonely. Each return feels like reconciliation, but nothing ever changes. Her reset is to identify the cycle, distance, anxiety, reunion, relief, and disappointment. Relief is not repair. Did anybody have any comments about that illustration from last week?
Limbo 101. She's in limbo.
Yeah. One of the key things I know that came up last week was he disappears after conflict and returns when he is lonely. So I guess when everything doesn't go right on the other side of the fence or wherever he goes to have his release or, to get his peace or his so-called safe place, when he gets to that moment where, oh, I want to be back with my girl because I'm starting to feel a little lonely. I'm feeling a little needy. He wants to return home. And as long as she keeps letting him back in, he's going to continue that behavior. But when you nip that behavior in the bud by saying, you know what, you've been gone. This has happened one too many times. You've been gone for 2 weeks, 3 days, 30 days, this is it. No, you can't come back. When you cut the snake off at the head, they have no other choice but to make a hard decision. Am I going to get myself together and do right by her? Or am I just going to cut my losses and move? And sometimes, hate to say it, we don't encourage breakup or divorce, but sometimes moving on is always best, especially in a girlfriend boyfriend relationship. Because if you're not making any progress, what are you doing?
Coach, the only caveat I want to add here is that when you decide first, you have to bring the person to attention to the fact. Look, Monica needs to say, look, fellow, here's the patterns that you're showing. And this pattern is repeating itself over and over. How are you going to repair this or change this or make a difference here? Because if you can't repair this, make a difference or change, or unwilling to change, it's over. But you first have to put it out on the table. First, you have to say, hey, look, and you have to get a hard stop. And then the person got an option. They can change or they can go somewhere else. Okay? That was it.
Okay. Well, let me piggyback on that, Coach Carpenter. So I've been in a relationship before where I consider myself being open and honest in my communication, saying, what I noticed, the trends, the bad behaviors. And even though I stated it, and I was like, so, I mean, what's going on? What are we going to do? How is this going to be repaired? How do we move forward? I mean, because this is not healthy for me. And the other party would be like, okay, Glenda, I'll change. I'll do this. I'll do this. I promise. They make those empty promises. Now, what I want to ask you is based off of your last comment. So if you do all that conversating and they make it seem like they want to change, but nothing ever changes, or the change is limited to inconsistent.
My key, and when I gave my response, my key words in there was consistent patterns. Patterns show themselves. And if the person isn't going to change their patterns, their cycle of patterns, if they're not going to change it or can't change it or unwilling to change it, then you have to change it for them. And that's the only thing that is, when they say, here's what they're going to do, they're only giving you lip service if they don't put the work in front of you that you can see the work. The work has to be visible to you that they're making the effort, they're making some difference, they're doing some strive, they're working towards a better future for you too. If they're not doing that, because they're not doing that consistently and just talking, it's empty promises.
Right.
In other words, they're manipulating you, which that in itself means bye-bye.
Okay, understood. Thank you for the clarification, sir. Do anyone want to come off mute and share any comments or provide some feedback?
One that got in there, action speaks louder than words.
Absolutely. It really does. It really does. It really does.
Right here, I want to say one thing right here, because this is a unique situation. There's two reasons why a person don't change. There's two reasons why a person don't change. There's basically two reasons.
Okay.
One is they don't want to change. That's the first reason. Second reason, they don't have the ability to change. They don't have the skill set. They don't have the knowledge. They don't have the experience to change. So it's either they don't want to change or they don't have the ability to change. Some people say neither one of those are acceptable to me. Some other people say, well, if they just don't have the ability, I'll reach down and work with them and we'll work something out. You have to be the one to make that decision. But a lot of people say neither one of those options work for me. Your choice. Go ahead, Linda.
Well, I did, when you were talking about the ability to change, I did have a question about that. We'll get your question in just a second, Miss Sharon. Now, when you say, can you elaborate a little bit more on the willingness to change? Because I'm thinking to myself that all grown folks, all adults have the ability to change. I am more willing to accept they just don't want to, because, free will, you can do whatever you want to because you're grown. Because I said so, because I don't want to. But having the ability, I was under the impression that we all have the ability to make a change, because I just don't see that as an option. I can accept that.
Okay, not necessarily. I'm gonna give you dollars and cents because this is the easiest way to say it.
Okay.
Let's say you're a high value lady, and let's say you make 150 to 200,000 a year in salary.
Mm-hmm.
And your boyfriend or your husband, whoever it is, they're making 32,000 a year. and you're saying, hey, look, guy, if you want to be with me, you got to break 100,000 a year, or else this is not happening. If this person don't have the skill set to get $100,000 a year salary, then they just don't have the ability.
How does she hook up with somebody that was making 30,000 and she's making 150,000?
Love makes strange bedfellows.
Okay, I think we had a question.
Go ahead, Sharon.
Okay, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was assuming that Rufus meant when he said they don't have the ability, they don't have the knowledge or whatever to be able to go and get help, or don't know what direction to go get help in, or just don't know. I was thinking Rufus meant that.
Correct. You're right.
Okay.
100%, Sharon.
Okay.
That was it.
You clear, Glenda? Coach Glenda?
Yeah. Yes, I'm good. I'm good. I just
Okay.
need a little bit of clarity. That's it, sir. Okay. Let's see. Where are we at? We've gone through our. Okay. So the next question we have tonight: what fact have you been minimizing because accepting it might require a decision? What fact have you been minimizing because accepting it might require a decision?
That's an easy one.
Read that one more time, please.
Oh, not a problem. What fact have you been minimizing because accepting it might require a decision? Why, the reason why you're allowing it, because you might have to make the hard decision.
Okay.
I'll do an easy one right out the gate.
Okay.
Your husband don't come home anymore. He calls and say he's not coming home, and you know doggone well he should be home, but he calls a lot to do that, and you know that if you bring it to his attention, you guys are going to be split. It's not going to, your relationship isn't going to work anymore.
All right.
Because some men don't want to let you go, and they want to go do their thing on the outside, and they want the time to do the thing on the outside, so they give you excuses or give you ultimatums so they can go out and do what they want to do, and then when they come home, you got to accept them.
Oh, that's some women have to accept them. Not all women accept
Right. But that's what I'm saying, that if that was the case, if you was afraid to accept to confront him, because once you confront him, it's over.
Right.
But you don't want it over, so you keep taking excuses and keep taking what he's dishing, because you think, like someone said, at least he comes home.
Right.
At least I have a man.
Right. So she's minimizing herself by not speaking up.
Correct.
And she's just accepting his behavior because it might requires her or him to say, well, somebody to get in a full outblown argument, and then they end up having to part ways, separate, break up, or whatever.
Here's an easier example to understand.
Okay.
Let's say you and your girlfriends, it's 5 of y'all, and y'all always go out, and you always driving. You're always the driver. You're always the one that put gas in the car, even though you guys are going on a trip where you got to get gas 2 or 3 times. You're the one put gas every time you go out, and you don't say anything to your girlfriends because you think if you say something, they're gonna stop being your girlfriends. So in other words, you just take it.
Not at my age today.
Especially not at the price of gas.
You got that right. Say that one again. We should never have to hold back our voice or our tone just to keep friendships or relationships. I was talking to someone not too long ago, and I was telling them pretty much the exact same thing. You're not my friend if I have to watch every little thing I say out my mouth. We should be able to agree to disagree. You may not like what I say, and I may not like what you say, but at the end of the day, there is a mutual respect between you and me that, okay, I didn't like it, but hey, she spoke her truth. It doesn't mean that our friendship comes to an end. It just means maybe you need to be a little more mindful moving forward.
Okay. Am I being heard?
Yes,
Yes,
loud and clear.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to, I was making adjustments to my Zoom here, and I didn't know whether, because I had been saying some things. I finally got it right. This is very interesting.
Okay.
What I'm hearing a lot of is the fact that time invested. And when I say time invested, I'm talking about invested in the relationship. A lot of us hold on to the fact that we've got so much time invested that we want to invest more time because we've got so much time invested. However, the relationship's not, should I say, uh, producing any interest.
Okay.
Now, and I don't necessarily mean monetary interest, I mean reality interest.
Mhm.
But we still hold on to it because we've got so much time invested. So at what point do we cut off that that clutch that's holding us because of the previous time invested, even though the relationship's not going anywhere? Am I making sense?
yes, you
Yes,
are.
sir.
Your mark is correct. It's
That is correct. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that you put a great question. And the reason why it's a great question, a lot of us are more concerned about what we don't want than what we do want. Because
Right.
when you ask a person, what do you want? The first thing they'll tell you is what they don't want. They're not gonna tell you
Right.
what they want. That's the first thing that they do. When it gets so painful that you can't do anything else but give up, that's when they're going to quit. That's when it's going to be the time for them to say, hey, I had enough, the hard stop, no more. I can't take it anymore. But it has to be where they can't take it anymore. You can't bear it anymore. Because a lot of us feel we got thick skin and if we just hold
Hmm.
a little bit longer, it's going to get better. You know, I'm in love with the future. I'm in love with the potential of a better relationship. You know, I've got rose colored glasses on and I can see us being this and that in the future, and it's never going to happen. But long as they hold on to that in their heart, that's hope. I have hope in a better relationship where hope really isn't the thing right now. It's what you sing. You know how the people say you're going to believe your lying eyes?
Right.
That's what's going on in that picture you painted, sir.
Okay. I feel as though some people, they wait. They feel the pain. They feel the cut.
Mm-hmm.
That pain creates, and they keep holding on until you cut it off, that limb.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's when the recognition of the damage, or the damage isn't recognized, how deep the damage was, until they're missing something, they're broken. And that part of rebuilding, even though you may cut it off with that person, but then it's still carried on to the next relationship. I don't know if I'm stepping out of bounds with where you are with the topic,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not. God, I'm noticing more as I'm listening to what you all were saying, and how difficult uh, relationships can be, and how much energy you have to put into it, because there's a lot that has to be put into a relationship to make that relationship good. And there was talk about participating in the healing of the relationship. And I really like that when someone had mentioned that. Maybe not in those words verbatim, however, but that's where what I had heard. My participation in healing and fixing the relationship. How much am I willing to do?
You said a lot of good stuff, a lot of deep stuff, and I don't want us to glass over this or miss it. You said one thing, a person gonna hold on until it's cut off. And when it's cut off, whether they cut it off, whether the other person cut it off, then they realize the damage they incurred or sustained from that relationship. And we call that
Hmm.
damage trauma. That's what we name that
Right.
trauma. And one thing about trauma is it makes you aware of the pain and what you're feeling. And a lot of times that becomes the baggage you take into your next relationship. So the
Right.
person that you meet on the other end may be an entirely better person or a different person because you've been damaged or because you're carrying trauma or baggage into this new relationship. Now you begin to mess up or put this on the new relationship. And this is something, this is why Sunday Night at 9 is so important because we work through these things. Because people like you, Marcus, when you come on and you bring these things in, everybody get to see a different side of this equation. Because there's no one size fit all here. We all
Right.
experience things differently because of our backgrounds and because of what we experience. So go ahead, sir.
No, no, I'm listening. I'm wanting to be educated. Uh, that's I I don't see myself as having the ability to educate, not on this particular topic, because I'm still trying to heal from the hurt and from the pain that I've been through. And some of it, I really have to recognize that some of it was self-inflicted.
Mm.
So, and having that vision to stand, to step out of myself, to look at myself, to know what part that I participated in the breakdown of the relationship, and then rid myself, teach myself, and I can't teach myself by myself, and I need things such as this Zoom meeting, to listen to differences of opinion, and how you did it, how she did it, what they did, and so that this baggage, I'm able to put down these two handfuls of bad baggage, so I can pick up two handfuls of something good to carry into the next relationship.
Right.
And you're saying so much, and Wanda's putting some great stuff in the chat. Wanda, you want to comment about some of the stuff you put in the chat? Because I see you right on point with a lot of stuff you're putting in the chat, and a lot of people are listening to what's being said, and they're not reading the chat. You want to voice some of that, Wanda? And Marcus, let me tell you this: why Wanda's
And
getting off
again,
mute, or why she's getting off mute. This Sunday Night 9 was designed where you and like 20 of your friends are in one living room on a Sunday night. The music, music's kind of low. You guys might have a glass of wine or two or something like that, and you guys are sharing relationship issues or relationship trauma, or sharing some of the things that you overcome in relationships. And you don't know that the brother or sister beside you may be going through some of the same stuff that you already mastered. And when you speak your truth,
sure.
you give them the idea, wow, he survived it. She survived it. I can
So
too.
can I.
Let me try this.
Hmm.
Because going through relationships, I'm
Hmm.
telling you, there's so much involved. You might meet a person that's a pro at manipulating people, especially if you get somebody offline where you go to a dating site. These people are people that are professionals at getting what they want from people through manipulation. And if you're a babe in the
Right.
woods, man, it's you got a hard way to go. So that's why Sunday Night 9 was designed that we all can learn from each other. So we all participate in
Okay.
the learning and just a general conversation here. You ready, Wanda? You there yet? Okay, Glenda, go ahead. And
I
Wanda,
and
go ahead, Mark. Go ahead, Mark.
I've got a question.
Mhm.
concern. Is my mic being on eliminating someone else? I
No, it's
don't
not.
know.
No, sir.
Oh,
No, it's not. We got a set where everybody's mic can be on. You come on and off when you want to. The Sunday Night Nine. Our philosophy and thoughts are that you can speak if you want to, or you don't speak. But we try not to call on anybody unless you're very active and we know that you don't mind us. Because Sunday Night Nine, you don't even have to show your face. You don't even have to come on if you don't want to. This is your time. This
okay.
is your space. You can be as bold or you can be as shy or stay back as much as you want to. All we ask
Okay.
that you respect everybody's opinion. That's
Oh,
all.
absolutely. That yes, yes, yes. I'm just I'm new to this Zoom thing. I do some Zoom through another program that I'm involved in, but it's pretty much a sit back and listen, and I'm asked a few questions, and I give some input, but it's not a group type. Well, it is a group Zoom, but it's one person at a time.
Mhm.
So I have to go ahead and say what I have, unmute myself, say what I say, and then remute myself is how that's the way I've been used to doing. But that's why I'm asking questions about the
Yeah.
mute part of it and my participation in this group Zoom
We're
conference or
very
meeting.
we're very informal. We're very informal. We're just everyday people.
Okay.
Coach Glenda is Coach Glenda. She's your born again woman. This is her form, and it's educational. And we're everyday people. We make mistakes. Matter of fact, we record this on Sunday night, and we have it on YouTube by Wednesday.
Okay. And
Okay. Go ahead, sir.
I've accepted the fact that you're being recorded.
Mhm.
I allowed it, and so I did push that or
Mhm.
tapped on that tab or whatever that bar
Mhm.
for the allowance of that. This is very interesting to me because I'm actually healing from a long relationship, but the relationship has been totally dormant for the last 3 years.
Mhm.
It's been inactive, totally inactive for the last 3 years. But then again, when that's one of the reasons why I brought in or made that statement about time served or
Correct.
time invested. Because now when after so much time, you you begin to watch each other grow, and then uh, children from relationships prior to the one that I'm involved in. There were children, and then these children grow up from babies, and then these children have children, and then I'm playing this role, or not playing the role, but I'm looked at as being part of the family because I've been with someone for so long, and so the kids, it's I can't, I can't just. It's hard to. I think I said it right the first time. I can't just put these kids aside because the
Mhm.
relationship between her and I is no longer.
Mhm.
It's got so I'm still dealing with that. How do I do that? How do I even move on from that? Is it possible? Can I do that respectfully? Do I want to do that? You know what I mean? I just have to sit back and pray about it and let God intervene. And this is what He's done for me by the recognition. And I'm gonna I thank someone who's actually turned me on to this tonight. I thank her for it because it's like, well, God sent her to help me to get through what I'm going through with the help of you all.
Mhm.
So that's how I'm looking at that. So that's why I say I'm here to be taught.
Okay.
But in order to learn, I have to tell the truth to my own self, be true. And if I do that, then I'm truthful with you all. And I may hear something that's very helpful, very informative, which helps me along the way, this path that I'm trying to travel. So I may be getting off subject. I hope I'm not too consumed in self, with what I'm saying, but this is just where I'm at, and hopefully where I'm at and what I'm wanting to may help someone else, give someone some some enlightenment on just come on, just talk about what you're going through,
Right.
Excellent.
I don't know.
Someone else want to comment before I comment on what he said, because because he's saying a lot there, and I want to make sure we don't miss it. Anyone else want to say anything before I start?
I just want to say that people are put in your life for a reason or season. And sometimes you just got to live and let go. But as far as the kids, I just feel like, they were put in your life for a reason. And it's because you cut the relationship off with the other party, the kids had nothing to do with that. And just like I say, it takes a village to raise a child. So, just
Mm-hmm.
stay in that child's life.
Okay. Anyone
Mm-hmm.
else in the comments before I come on? Okay. 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 So he brought up again some very important points, and there's time. He said something called time invested. It's very important because people see that two ways. One way they see it, time invested is lost. Man, I lost all that time with that so and so. I lost all that time with that lady or that guy. That's one way they see it, as a lost. Another way people see it, as a gain. The time I invested in that with that lady or guy, it wasn't always good. It was some rough times.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I gained from that time. I saw a new perspective for myself. I got to meet some people. I got to be part of a family. Now, it wasn't all good, but I'm not gonna dwell on what I lost. I'm gonna dwell on what I gained, because these people are people that came in my life I would have never met in any other way. Now, and then there's a religious side of that, and I'm glad he touched on it. That the religious side of that is, all you owe any man is love. That's all you owe him, is love. Now, I'm not talking about being love and all this, but I'm talking about all you owe a person.
Mm-hmm.
That's what God said. All you owe a person is love. All you got to do is love them. The children, those kids, love them. Now, whether they receive or accept that, that's their business. You did what God told you to do. Love them. That's it.
Right.
That's that simple.
As yeah, as God showed us love by giving His only
Yeah.
begotten Son. That's it. And then love in an unconditional way.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I've got Christ in my life. I'm glad for me. I know this is not, well, I don't know. I don't
Go ahead.
know
You're good.
that
If we
it,
don't have
it,
no three, good. Long as you get treat people with respect, you good to go. Continue.
yeah, that's what it is, with the utmost respect. And that's what I do in numerous ways, and just because somebody throws a stone at me doesn't mean I gotta throw one back. I'm gonna do my best to duck it, you know what I mean? But that doesn't mean I'm gonna pick it up and
That's
throw it back, you know. So and I do that with love that God has given me and allowed me to give it away. So
okay. If no one else, Linda, we back. Want to get back on
So,
track?
So I would like to say something.
And
So, when I find that being in a relationship, every relationship that I've ever gotten into, from the beginning or to a certain point in that relationship, it was just beautiful. I felt like, oh, this is the one, this is it, this is what it's going to be. But for some reason, it turned out to not be. There was a break in the relationship, and perhaps I wanted a break, or perhaps not. But no matter what, I found the next relationship, I went into it with a better understanding of me, a better understanding of what I wanted and hoped for. There was still, I'm not in the relationship, so it turned out not to be the best for me either. But I just feel like each let go was sending me to that next partner that I needed to be with for betterment than the relationship that I was in. So each time a relationship ended, it's not just a loss of um of self. It could be like, okay, this needed to end. There were some good times, there were some bad times, but for you, it needed to end.
Yeah.
And to move on to the next relationship. You're not going to go for bitter. You're not going to be in it bitter. You're going to be in it and taking the joy from yourself to that relationship and look for the better there. So what we leave behind is behind, and maybe there's hurt, but that hurt is behind. So what you're going to go to next, you're not looking for the same thing. It could be much better, and you can say, oh, thank God that relationship I had
Mm-hmm.
is gone, because now I met this one and I'm doing this in this relationship. I think hurt is hurt. I don't care when you get it, and your mind can probably continue to remember it forever, but you don't live in it.
Right.
You move
Right.
on, you go past it,
Yeah.
and you look for the best, because best is coming. How they say, the best is still yet to come.
Yet. There you go. Yet to come. That's
Keep
right.
moving forward. Okay, that's all I had to say.
awesome.
One of the things that I heard you say was about every single relationship that you've had. It starts off great, and then I guess then the true light shines through. Me myself, I've never gotten into a relationship based on disagreement and being argumentative and disrespectful and then say, oh, okay, yeah, now you want to go out now, it always starts off nice. It always starts off nice. But then here's where I'm going with that. I'm at the point now where I don't want to be into another ending relationship, if that makes any sense.
Right.
It
I'm
makes
You,
listening.
great sense. It makes great sense. We've got something called picker. you got you got to get your picker right if
right.
you want to be out in a relationship. That means your choice. And in all
Mm-hmm.
relationship, there's what's called a runway, a chance you get to know the person before you make that commitment that this is a relationship you want. And in that runway, the time when you're first meeting this person, you have to make some major decisions, and that's what we call your picker. If you pick the right person, you're good to go. And that, I think
Mm-hmm.
some president said, I think was it might have been Carter. What's that guy from Georgia? Uh,
Yeah,
Carter.
the peanut guy.
Yeah, him.
That was Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy Carter, right? He said one of the best ways to make sure your marriage can be right, pick the right person.
Okay, right. Yeah.
But in relationships, you go through stages. It's 5 stages, and I'll brief them. The 5 stages. And first stage is the romantic stage. You're so happy they can't do anything wrong. It's that romantic stage. You love them, they love you, and you can't be without them. You want to see them every 5 minutes and all this. And that's the first stage. And then the next stage is what's considered the norming or storming stage. The storming stage is the next stage where you start noticing, man, wait a minute, hold up, a few things aren't right here. And that storming
Mm-hmm.
stage It's when you start wanting your things your way, she start wanting her things her way, and you guys go through a little storm there. And if you get through that stage correct, then the next one is called the norming stage, where you start realizing, hey man, that's pretty good. You know, hey, yeah, she does this wrong, he does that wrong. I can live with that. All right, that's great. I can live
Okay.
with that. And that's the norming stage. That's when you guys start becoming together and you start realizing that you have a relationship. You have something that you guys can treasure and something you can keep. And then once you get through that stage, then you get to the stage where you start accepting each other. Hey, you're my guy, you're my girl. Hey, this is us. Let's build this thing. We have something here. And that's when a relationship begins solid. You may want to marry, or you may want to decide long-term commitment, or you want to move in together. And if that goes well, then the next stage is called the bliss stage. This is when you're married, or you've been together so long, and you guys can finish each other's sentence. Everything is going great, beautiful. And this is where you want to get married, or this is where you want to start doing things together. You guys might open up a business together, or you guys may go to a charitable event together. And this is the stages you go through in relationships. Everybody has
Okay.
5 stages. There's no way around it. And if you're smart, when you get to that third stage, when that acceptance, that third stage, you either accept or don't. That's when you have to cut then, or either cut or stay. If you know the person isn't right for you, that third stage, and you continue that relationship, that's where you problem.
It's gonna, because that's the point where you begin to head in the, you're headed in opposite directions.
Correct.
I should say, and eventually, and that's happened to me before, and it was explained to me about heading in opposite directions. At some point, you're going to have a head-on collision.
That's it.
Exactly.
And when that happens, then that's when the pain comes in.
Yep.
Yeah, indeed.
And and you're gonna need more than 911 to fix that one.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right, Glenda, you want to keep it moving?
All right, so we got another illustration that I want to go over with you guys. It's the long-term girlfriend. The long-term girlfriend. Angela has been dating for 7 years. Her partner says marriage is just a piece of paper. Yet he expects loyalty, caregiving, and financial help. Angela wants marriage. Her reconnect is not an ultimatum. It is an honest statement. Marriage matters to me. If it's not something you want with me, I need the truth so I can make a decision for my life. I think Angela is being fair.
I've heard that a couple times.
So how did it play out for you, Coach Carpenter?
Well, some of them gave me the ultimatum. They left. Some I left.
Okay, all right. Okay, I understand that. I'm going to read it one more time. The long-term girlfriend, Angela, has been dating for 7 years. Her partner says marriage is just a piece of paper. Yet he expects loyalty, caregiving, and financial help. That sounds like a wife to me. Angela wants marriage. Her reconnect is not an ultimatum. It is an honest statement. Marriage matters to me. If it isn't something you want with me, the truth, I need the truth so I can make a decision for my life. And I think that's only fair. I think she's not asking for too much. I know that I've even stated before in that 15-year relationship that I was in, I started out the gate. I told him that, I wanted to be married. So that was his opportunity to know. Well, at that point, even though we were over 35, that at that point he should have known, do I really want to get married or don't I want to get married? But he was all in for wanting to get married. I didn't say with me because we had just started out. But at the same time, he wasn't opposed to marriage. He wasn't saying stuff like marriage is just a piece of paper. So, does anybody want to share any comments off this illustration right here?
I do. I want to say a little something. And I don't know, and I should know. I should know about the marriage thing. It's truly more than a piece of paper.
It is.
I don't know exactly how it's said about marriage being that union between a man and a woman, which is created by God. I'm not 100% sure of how, but I do know that God has a part that he plays in that marriage, and it's under holy matrimony. So I've been there before, but at such a young age that I
Right.
really didn't know anything about it. So the marriage now has been turned to divorce years ago. Years ago, because I didn't understand it. I just at that time I thought it was nothing but a piece of paper and a mark on my left hand, the finger on my left hand,
Right. Right.
which was an indication that, hey, somebody else has got a ring that looks like this too. And so it didn't last. And as since I've gotten older, and now I'm, like I said, I'm actually, uh, I'm standoffish in a way. I'm not looking to have any quick uh, under the sheet action, so to speak. But I'm still looking for that intimacy, and it doesn't have to be physical to have intimacy. Because I can have an intimate relationship with God.
Right.
And that's the same thing I want to have. I want to be able to start that. And like the gentleman said, you got to get to step 3 of these relationship steps. And if we can't get past the third part of it, then and make that decision, hey, do I turn around here or do I keep on going? And making a good decision there. And me personally, I still feel a little fearful of getting as far as that third part and then recognizing that, okay, now is the time I need to turn away. Is there a recognition, some signs before then? I'm sure there is, and I just have to be more aware of it.
Absolutely, there are. There's always red flags, sir. There's always red.
Yeah, right. And I can't keep collecting them. Uh, I can't keep
Me,
That was
collecting
funny,
them.
Marcus. That was funny.
You're right. You're right. You're right.
me personally,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not gonna be in a relationship for 7 years without marriage. I mean, that's like a waste of time.
Well, here's a key takeaway because we're running out of time here. Here's a key takeaway from that example, long-term girlfriend. The key takeaways is one word. It's called boundaries.
Mhm.
Boundaries. And you got to realize boundaries are not necessarily for the other person. Boundaries are for you also. Because as Wanda just said, I'm not going to be in a relationship 7 years without being married. So she's
Mm-hmm.
already set her boundary.
Mm-hmm.
In 7 years come, it ain't what the other guy gonna do, other person gonna do, is what she gonna do.
Is what I'm on. Yeah, right.
Right. So
Exactly.
so her boundaries is more for herself than it is for the other person.
Mm-hmm.
So boundaries are for yourself as well as the other person.
Absolutely.
What's gonna take and ain't gonna take. And that's
Right.
key. That was a key one of this one. She want to get married, the other guy don't. If she honor her boundaries, it's over. If not, he'll keep doing what he's doing.
Yeah. And I think that that's very true. Even though I learned it late in life, when you set boundaries, you have to stay firm and you got to make sure you stay consistent with them, especially in relationships, because people will walk all over you. They would take you for granted. They will manipulate you just to get what they want and leave you high and dry. But when you set those boundaries, that lets people know right out the gate, oh,
Yes,
no,
yeah.
she's not playing. She's not playing. Yes, I meant what I said, and I said what I meant.
And another thing, we know when we set those boundaries, it's the same as drawing the line.
Yes,
This is the line that I'm not going to cross, nor
absolutely.
am I going to let you cross it. And
Absolutely.
then here's the thing. We say, where's the eraser? And we erase that line, and then we move it either forward or we move it backward. You know what I mean? And we enable that person to cross it, or we cross it, or not cross it, but we move it, which allows us to be somewhat more gullible
Yep.
Right,
because we didn't stand fast, stay at our boundary. We've broken that line. We've created more allowance or more acceptance to the things that we know we don't want, just
right,
for the pleasure of being in a relationship
right,
or being with that one particular person we think is the one for us.
right.
Well, if I'm not a keeper, let me go.
Exactly.
That's a good one. Hey, Glenn,
Yeah,
do number 4 right quick because we're almost out of time. And number 4 is an example of something different. And I want to make sure we go through that before we let off, or unless you want to do another part.
Well, I always let I love for the audience to let us know if they want us to do a part 2 or a part 3. Um, we do still have some contents, ladies and gentlemen, on tonight's topic. Do you guys feel like you got enough in you to do a part 3?
I do. I had mentioned to someone that, oh man, I don't know if I got it in me, because this is day one for me,
Right.
but it's not so much. I'm realizing I have it in me, and it's through me being open and honest, I'm getting help getting it out of me, and I'm actually enjoying this. I really am.
Awesome.
And
I'm
it
Awesome.
said yes
learning.
too. And it said yes too, Glenda.
I saw
Okay,
that in the
sorry.
chat.
I thought you missed it. I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, I did see it. Thank you so much. But as the crowd has spoken, we will be having part 3 next week. So you are not asking for too much when you ask to be loved with honesty. You are not difficult because you need clarity, and you are not disposable because someone becomes uncertain. But tonight, I want you to remember this: another person's indecision does not have to become your permanent address. You can love someone and still require truth. You can honor the history and still examine the present. You can give a relationship a fair chance without giving confusion unlimited access to your life. If he wants to build, let the building be visible. If he needs help, let his willingness be visible. If he no longer chooses a relationship, let the truth be visible. And if he refuses to decide, remember, you still have a
And
decision.
make a decision.
Good night, everyone. See you next Sunday night at 9. I'm Coach Glenda, your Rise Again woman. See you next week.
See you next
Thank
week,
you.
everybody.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.